Okay. Hello, everybody. Just gonna do some checks before we start. But yeah, is everything going all okay? Is everything sounding okay? Ollie, would you like to?
I can see myself on stream, so I think that's working pretty well.
Okay, good. Just tell us.
And I just heard myself, so.
Oh, sweet. Okay, that's good. Good start. All right. So I was gonna make an announcement in this podcast, but I kind of didn't really plan out the announcement, so I'm probably gonna stay off of that for now, and I'll probably be announcing it next week. But yes, so is everybody ready for the intro? This is such a it's a bit lackluster tonight. All right, and hello everyone, and welcome to Indie Dev Chat, a live streamed weekly show where I talk to fellow developers. If you're watching this on the stream, you may ask us any questions you have and we'll try to answer them. Furthermore, if you're on a podcast platform, please check out Mapboy on YouTube if you want the absolute full experience with face cams, chat replay, and more. Today I'm here with Ollie from MashUpGames. Hey Ollie.
Hello, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I lost my hair from from Xbox earlier, but you know, other than that, I'm fine. Have you been working on much recently, or?
Yeah. So I'm busy doing Fantasy, as a lot of people seem to know, and I've also just been doing just general things like job searching's been a big part of it.
Right.
And I've also been working on a small secret project, which hopefully I'll be having a video out a couple of weeks. You know, it might take longer, but it's something completely new. It's still like game dev related, but I haven't quite done anything about it yet.
Yeah.
But I just kind of been working on that.
Yeah.
But
Well, for those who don't
ticking
know,
away.
who don't know you and your projects.
Yeah. Sorry. Do you want me to give my introduction?
Yeah. Well, I didn't really ask, to be fair.
That's fine. Hi guys, I'm Ollie. Or MashUpGames. I run my own YouTube channel. We do game development things. I've done quite a few making of videos in which I go through my progress on game jams, and I've recently started a devlog series on a game I've called Fantasy, which is a fantasy tower defense game where you place minions and other creatures around dungeons to try and fend off waves of heroes. Yeah, and I'm a guest on this wonderful dev chat.
Yeah, 28 episodes in or something like that. It's crazy. But yeah, so in terms of your game, is there anything you're extremely excited to be working on with it? Would you say?
I think the thing I'm most excited for is just going through the process of actually making a proper game. Because all my experience before has been sort of game jam stuff, where I've only had like 3 days to a week to properly do it.
Yeah.
And this is a lot more stretched out, a lot more a bigger scope, and I'm just looking forward to doing all of it, even the boring parts.
Yeah. Well, no, that's.
But it's all very exciting for me. So.
Yeah. No, I have that too. You know, I'm about to fully finish my first game, and yeah, the one thing that's been really exciting is like actually getting involved in all of the stuff that you don't normally do in game jams and stuff. It's there's so much more behind it than you'd think. It's really quite interesting. But yeah, people are asking. I think this is quite a crucial question. Has Ollie made any games about mashed potatoes?
I have not, Rob. I have not. Funny story on how my name originated. So I was originally called the Mashup Man with 2 N's at the end because I was cool.
Oh yeah.
And that was because I started YouTube about, must have been like 5 or 6 years ago, where I was just sort of wanting to be a YouTuber. So I was like doing gameplay videos, doing vlogs. I did a few sketches, which to this day I kind of still find funny, but
yeah.
And the reason I was called the Mashup Man with 2 N's was because I wanted to do mashups, like song mashups at some point.
Right.
So I was very into my music, but I never actually did any. And I was like, oh, maybe mashup could be like this channel is a mashup of loads of different things.
Yeah.
And when I then changed that to game development, I was like, I kind of still want to keep that aspect of me there. So I was
Right.
like, okay, mashup man, mashup games. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've had much debate recently on if I should just change it to Oliver Brown, but I think mashup games is probably going to stay for at least a little bit longer.
No, I quite like it because I remember I can't remember when it was. I can't remember when you released the video, but I think it was you. I hope it was you. Like right when I was at the start of my whole. Well, I don't think it was really necessarily the start, but it's quite early on. It was your video on the Brackies game jam.
Glow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
Yeah.
it's really weird. Like speaking to you now, I remember like watching it, and it's it's really quite strange. Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, that video has probably not aged the best, but it's one of the most popular ones I've got. So
You can't argue with that.
no,
Um,
no, yeah.
Yeah, Rob's interested in what your favorite part of the process of game creation would be.
That is good. Good question, Rob. Rob always has great questions.
Oh yeah.
Best part, my favorite part of the process is, I quite like testing.
Right.
Like I don't know why, but I enjoy testing, and I feel like a lot of people don't, because sort of when they're programming something and it doesn't work, they can get quite frustrated with it. But with me, I just kind of okay, what can I do to fix this? I find loads of different ways of trying to do it, and I quite enjoy that. But in terms of probably my favorite thing is probably starting.
Right. Yeah.
I quite like doing everything, because I'm a very creative person, so I love doing like art and music and programming all in one. So that's why game dev really suits me. And when it comes to game jam games, I just really like starting out with the pixel art, like really simple art, and then just starting bit by bit, adding to it different mechanics and everything. Yeah.
Well, I think right when you start, it's like it's one of the most exhilarating parts. That's why so many people create like there's so many people that make like start a game and then they don't finish it, because it's like right when you start
they realize
it's like
it's so much bigger than
yeah. Like it's such a huge like boost like right when you start, but then it like trails off as you go down the line. But I think that is also the beauty.
Yeah, motivation starts at the peak, it goes down, and then like slowly comes back up it again at the end. And I think a lot of people, when they make their game, they either hit that middle mark where their motivation is really low, or they just find that the scope of their game is way too big.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you definitely learn with game jams. Is something you learn with finishing your games. And you know, someone Skeffels has just asked if you've participated in a lot of jams, which you've said that you have. So
I have. I have. How many have I? God, I need to count how many I've participated in. It must be at least 10. I'm actually going to go to my channel now and see how many making of videos I have to count then. But yeah, I've participated in quite a lot. I tend to gravitate more towards YouTuber game jams. So like Brackies and GMTK and Jonas. Those ones I tend to drift more towards. There is actually, today's Wednesday, isn't it? Yeah, on Friday, the Mix and Jam game jam is starting.
Oh, that's exciting.
Which, yeah, I was quite sad at the beginning of when it was announced, because it was the weekend of my girlfriend's birthday, which is tomorrow, and the plan was for me to go to her and like we have a weekend away, but with lockdown in the UK, can't exactly do that.
Yeah.
So now I have that weekend freed up.
Well,
so
at least there's some positives.
Yeah, at least there's some positives.
Chatterbox is asking...
spending a month away from my girlfriend.
Chatterbox is asking, what is your video editing workflow?
Um, it starts with the audio. So I write my
Yeah.
script, and then I record it on Audacity, and then I cut it. I then go back through it, cut out all the bits where I mess up, or there's a lot of silencing my breaths, so I have heavy breathing.
Yeah.
And then once that audio is done, I then the footage I think I already have at this point.
Yeah.
Normally with game jams, I get them as I'm going along.
Yeah.
Which I probably could improve on because I don't do it that often.
Yeah, no,
But
that's the
then
same.
then I put all the audio in and just sort of just add some nice effects and line up the footage with the audio and all that.
Yeah.
And I absolutely hate the audio part.
Oh yeah, no.
It always takes me so long.
It does. I think that's audio is one of the things that like occasionally you think you've got it down. You're like, oh yeah, quick workflow. But then the next video you do, you say between every sentence. You know, like I've got a lot better at that now. But back when I started, it would just be like, I forgot what I was gonna say, or like my brain would shut off even though the script's right in front of me. I'd be like, It's quite.
Yeah, I was the same with that, but I didn't do I just kind of stood there in silence.
I just stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a very slow speaker, and so scripts, like for videos, really helps me that way. But when it comes to unscripted, like you just one of the well, pretty much all of the streams I've done in the past, people can tell just how slowly I speak.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've always been quite a fast speaker. Like, I don't think I've necessarily had a problem with that. Because, like, before I was doing scripting, I did used to do a lot of unscripted stuff. And people have always asked me, like, did you script these? I'm like, no. And, you know, now
That's a good thing.
Yeah, but now I am scripting them. And it makes it, the workflow is a lot more streamlined, for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot more structured.
Yeah. Retro asks, what tips do you have coming up with game jam ideas which are creative and still in scope?
That is a good question, Retro. Also, hi, Retro. I believe Jonas has a good video on this, where you think of you've got the theme, and you just sort of think, okay, what can this relate to? I was actually going to make a video on how to do game jams in preparation for my mashup game jam, which I didn't end up doing. But I remember I came up with a method that I realized I'd use quite often. I think it was the what and how. And normally a good theme is one that you can ask those two questions of, and the answer isn't straightforward. So let's take Jonas's intentional bugs as an example. So you can ask what is in what's bugged out, what's intentionally the problem with this game, and then the how is, I guess, how is it bugged? How is it not meant to be like that? And I always find that I always ask myself those two questions. It doesn't necessarily need to be what and how. It could be why and how, what and where, or just any of those. But I feel like I always just sort of jot down many different ideas of that, and I also go through I write down different genres, different themes, just loads of different things, and then I find sort of what sticks in my head.
Yeah, I think for me and my team, the way we do it is again, we'll sort of like associate it with other like real life things, because that's the easiest thing to talk about, like things you've experienced, I find, and like just like also like taking into consideration like what sort of genre would you like to make, because like, you know, you can say, oh, this would suit a platformer, let's say, but do you really want to do a platformer? Because at the end of the day, like, you got to make sure it's something you still like, because otherwise, you know, again, you're not going to keep in scope, because you'll be like going too far with it because you haven't done it before, or like, you know, because you don't have a good understanding of what you want to do. That's what I've found. Rob Lang asks, did you go to uni? What advice would you give to people thinking about going to university, and what should they know?
God, Rob, you come up with the best questions.
It
Seriously.
really does.
So yeah, I went to university. I went to Exeter University in England, where I did computer science. I graduated this summer with a first. Whoop whoop. God, it's stressful. What was the rest of the question? I can only remember. Yeah. What advice would you give to people thinking about going to university? What should they know? I guess it depends on. I see Matt's wanting this answer too. I guess it depends on sort of what you want to do. If you are interested in programming and you have sort of no, even like you have no idea or you have some general idea of what you want to do, then I would really recommend going to university because yes, excuse me, my throat. They have loads of courses online that you could do, but I really don't think they go cover like one language. It covers so many different languages and so many different like programming designs and methodologies, and it really covers all bases. And if you're wanting to do something very strictly game development wise, there are game design courses. I know a lot of people say that they're not very good, and that you can easily like take a boot camp online. I haven't taken one, so I don't really know. But in terms of if you want to be a game programmer, then I definitely think that computer science is what you should go for, because I feel like going through job searching, because I've been doing it for about 6 months now, and nearly every sort of job description that I've come across, they say they want you to have a degree in computer science or maths or something similar. So that something similar could be like a game programming or game design course. But I do think that they tend to favor the people with a degree in computer science more than one in games programming or games design.
Well, I think the thing with computer science is that it's not just like programming. It's other, it's the whole methodologies and like understanding like other things relating to like programming and stuff. So it's not all related just to one specific subject, which also I feel like would help in terms of like if you sort of feel like you want to do programming and like there are certain parts that you really enjoy. Like obviously as you're going through like your programming like journey, I suppose, like you do sort of pick up things that you enjoy the most. And like I feel like the same would go for uni. You may find things that actually you never thought you'd like, but you ended up enjoying it more so than game programming or whatever. And I feel like you'll learn.
Yeah. Then again, I think with game programming and game design courses, they're better for networking and sort of getting into the industry that way. Yeah. Because I've noticed that these game companies, they really don't like to advertise their roles very much.
Yeah.
I've really had to dig deep for some of them. And like I use LinkedIn a lot, but with these roles, they tend to ask for like an entry-level job. They'll ask for at least 1 year's experience in the industry. You must have at least released one AAA game. You must know all these different languages, and it's a bit much.
Yeah.
I do think there's some sort of disconnect between like the hiring department and the actual programming department. So when it comes to getting into the games industry, I do think that game design courses can have their perks that way. Then again, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't use my university very well in terms of networking.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird. Yeah. I feel like it's just because the games industry has flourished so fast. I think it's like one of the fastest growing industries and stuff. So it's like it's all one of the things that like education still hasn't really kept up with it. I feel like that's what it is because it's bigger than films and like and music and stuff. So it's a huge industry, but like it's just because it's grown so fast, nobody was really prepared for it. And like as you say, like
that's true.
The hiring people are sort of like they're going off of what is like the norm, and obviously the norm is always the same. So You know, it's like I feel like AAA like companies, they're worried about like employing the wrong person, so they'd much rather just have like, you know, the absolute best sort of thing, even if it is a bit of a ridiculous
Yeah,
like expectation. But
yeah.
I don't know.
Also, what I didn't realize when I started applying for these jobs is that they're a lot harder to get. Like when I started my computer science course, I thought, oh, computer science, great, because it's sort of the degree that not a lot of people go for, and I think there's a lot more demand for computer scientists out in the industry.
Yeah.
But what I didn't realize is that yes, there are technically more computer science jobs, but they are also harder to get.
Yeah.
Because with computer science jobs, you need to like have an initial interview, and then you need to take a technical test, which is the worst, and then you have like another interview after that. Well, you can't just like turn up to one interview and they'll be like, "Yeah, you're hired."
Yeah.
And I realized that because I managed to get quite far with a couple of big game companies, and it was a technical test I failed at, and it was because I didn't know enough C++.
Yeah.
In C++, when I was at university, I had no idea that it was that big a thing,
Right.
that big a deal. If for the people who want to be a games programmer, I would definitely have a look at C++ because it takes a lot of time to get your head around all the pointers and references and all the memory location, low level stuff that I don't think like any other language really goes into as deeply.
Yeah.
Maybe other C languages. But I just didn't realize how big C++ was favored by games industries.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's quite interesting. It's like, I think it's also again like because AAA companies don't want to risk anything. Like, so their chances are they're probably not going to really change that much. You know, they're probably always going to be using the same sort of systems because it's worked for them to get billions of dollars and stuff. So they're like, well, just keep doing it. You know,
I think it's quite commonly known that these technical tests aren't really good representations of what you'll be doing in the job.
Yeah. Yeah, because they go over like data
I remember,
structures and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, they go through like really technical things. Oh, I remember this one company I was doing the technical test for. That was a long one because it was like an hour technical test, and then followed by another hour or 2 hours. I can't remember how long it was, talking about my answer for the technical test, and then just a general interview. And I was absolutely knackered afterwards. But they had questions that then when it came to discussing them, they're like, "Yeah, this is a trick question."
Yeah.
Like it's like yeah, no one really uses this method, but your answer is this, and it's like, then why would you have that as the question if no one knows it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is quite fascinating, I think, because I feel like everyone is sort of lost as to where you go, like in all of the industry as a whole, in like all of programming and stuff, because it is advancing much faster than it ever has. So like,
Yeah.
you know, people are like, how the hell do we keep up with this? So like, I guess AAA companies are probably like, well, we'll make it so it's much harder to get in, so that, you know, not everybody gets in, because it is rising a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But
Yeah, I think that's just generally with all technological companies.
Yeah.
I think what my downfall was is that I didn't have any sort of industry experience at all.
Yeah.
Except for I did a week of work experience at one of PlayStation's offices in London, which I had no idea how I managed to get. But even that was back in like 2015 or 2016. But yeah, they really want people who've had experience because at university, at least with my course, I realized coming out of it that they don't really teach you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
They sort of cover the basics with a lot of technologies, but then like with these job descriptions, you see about 5 of them on one role, and it's like I need to know all of these again, and there's so much I didn't know, and it was a bit stressful.
Yeah.
Having to then, because C++ that was only taught in one module at my university, that was taught along with C and C# and Objective C, where we had no practical programming in it. So when it came to actually doing those technical tests, I was like, wow, there's so much I did not know. what was my university teaching me?
Yeah. I know. I think that's also something that varies uni to uni as well. Like,
Mm,
because you just gotta make sure that when you are applying for uni, you like check through the modules and stuff, and make sure it is
yeah.
actually best suited. Because like, I can't remember what course or what uni it was, but like, yeah, it was like, oh, this is a computer science degree, and then you look through the modules, and you're like, there's one programming module or some. It was like one or two, and I was like,
Really?
yeah, it was ridiculous. I can't remember what it
Oh.
was, but yeah, and I was like, well, not.
Nearly every open day I went to is like, yeah, this is our computer science degree, and it was very generic in that it just kind of covered all the bases,
Yeah.
and they were all just kind of the same.
Yeah.
I was interested in the Southampton University course because that was actually my third choice. I didn't get it because my English let me down, and then I got into Exeter, which I loved my time there. One of my friends who was at Exeter is now doing a master's in cybersecurity in Southampton. He's just saying I wish I had just been here as an undergraduate because these lecturers are better.
Yeah.
So. Mm.
All right. So moving on from the uni discussion, so we get through some of these
Yeah.
questions. uh, Casual Dutchman asks, "What do you enjoy more, creating a video and interacting with YouTube and socials, or the game development itself?"
Mm. I would probably have to say game development because game development, I feel like I can do at my own pace.
Yeah.
And with YouTube, there's sort of a pressure to get videos out when you like as soon as possible, and it's quite a process. It's quite time consuming to make a video. It takes me at least one full day. No, actually, that's a lie. It takes me at least 2 days to get a video out. And when it comes to the fantasies videos, I need to have content to make videos on.
Yeah.
So I need to sort of, if I'm about halfway through the month and I haven't really done anything, I start to then feel some pressure.
Yeah.
But when it comes to interacting with other game devs online, that bit I find very fun because I also feel like that doesn't really require any preparation or anything.
Yeah.
Like turning up on other people's streams like this one, literally I just need to be here at my computer at a certain time and I can just talk.
Yeah.
And like I think probably my favorite thing so far was being able to play in Danny's Among Us thing.
Yeah.
Among Us clone. That was just really nice to be included there. And I don't know if you know, but Mr. Beast just put out a video where he plays Danny's game.
Oh wow. Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, it's like Danny's just invited loads of people, like really big people, to play this game. I think in the video he had Mr. Beast, Dream, Jacksepticeye, loads of like Mr. Beast's friends. I was like, wait, this is the same game I played with Danny. What?
Yeah, that's mad. Well, I mean, Danny saw the success of it, so he was like, well, let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be.
Yeah, he's streaming Minecraft every day.
Oh yeah, I saw
now
that.
in this month. Yeah.
How is he?
I like to join every now and then. It's quite fun. He's doing okay. I think he's up against Randall, and I think he might be winning. I don't know if that's changed or not.
Right.
I don't know why I'm going on Twitch. I won't be able to see. But yeah, they're just racing each other to see who can get the quickest score at speedrunning Minecraft.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I remember Danny being at like, I don't know, I was there when he was really small, so it's really weird to see him at like a million and whatever it is. It's almost 2 million now, isn't it? I think. I don't know. It's just madness.
Yeah, I looked. It was 1.8 million.
Yeah.
Though it will likely be about 2 million now because of that Mr. Beast video.
Yeah. And Soul asks, what's your favorite game jam theme that you've had to make?
Ooh, that's a good question. I always find Game Maker's Toolkit comes out with some really good themes.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I agree.
I think Ludum Dare sometimes can come out with a good theme,
but then
sometimes they
really
can't.
Awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the?
Some of them that just apply to anything.
Yeah, what was the one? I can't remember what it was. It was 46, I think. I don't remember.
Keep It Alive.
Yeah, and that was like, I didn't
Mm.
mind it, but it was just a bit. It was so generic. It was like keep it alive. That could
Yeah,
be keep the player
they
alive.
all seem to be quite generic because they're submitted by like the audience, not the audience, like the participants, and then
Yeah, and they
people
want it,
vote on
and
which
they want
one they
something
like
easy.
most, and it
Yeah,
tend to be the generic one people like the most.
yeah. I don't know. It's quite fascinating, but yeah, I don't know. I
Mm.
feel like game jams are one of those things that it's like, it's always a gamble, and like something that I really like about game
Mm.
jams is like, if you don't like the theme, you don't need to participate. Like I think that's quite nice. Like like it's not like an actual competition thing where it's like right, you have to sit down, you have to do it. It's like do it if you want
Mm.
to do it, and I think that's what's so nice about it. Yeah, I don't know though.
Jewel B would have just said the Mr. Beast collab was a true "I raised that boy" moment.
And Rob asks, "What is your game dev weakness, and what are you doing to deal with it?"
Mm. That's
Really digging into
that's
your
a good question.
insecurity.
I've never really thought about my game dev weakness. I have been thinking more recently about. I've been more aware of what my just general weaknesses are. Um, in that I can be quite easily distracted, and I can be quite forgetful sometimes. But that's more applying to like other things in life. Like if I get asked to do some washing up, I was like, okay, I'll do that later. Don't do it later. I just forget.
Yeah.
And um, game dev weaknesses, probably I can sometimes be scared by scope. Um, that happened with Project Dungeon, where I realized that I came across the common problem where people make a game and they're like, this is too big a scope, but then like I think I came across that just because I was working on Project Dungeon, and then I had my last year of university, which was literally working all the time, and I had no time to actually work on the game. And then I was like, I don't have the time anymore to make this game a reality, and that's when the scope sort of exploded,
Yeah.
because I realized that now with the time I currently have, I can't do the scope I had before when I had like a whole summer's worth of time.
Yeah.
Um, and luckily with Fantasies, I currently am just searching for a job, and the more I work on it, the more I get sort of experience and like growth in the audience and people interested in it, and that sort of has a standing for employers, I think.
Yeah.
And now I'm currently in the process of accepting a job. I will definitely have less time to work on Fantasy, but I think I sort of prepared for that in that I didn't really set a deadline for Fantasy. I'm about to release a playtesting demo for playtesters. I got a playtesting group together, which I'll probably release that demo this month or next month. And a demo, I've sort of planned up to release a general demo for everyone. And then from then on, it's sort of I will get this game finished when I get it finished. It doesn't really have a deadline or anything. I'll just keep working on it until it's ready to be released.
Yeah.
A bit like Jonas is doing with Will We Snail.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you
that
can't.
game is taking.
Yeah. The thing is, you can't force out scope from yourself. That's the thing. Like, I think
No, yeah,
people aren't very lenient with themselves when it comes to like creating a commercial game. Like they're like, oh, this is my first big game. I want to release it and stuff. Chances are you're not going to release it because of the scope. Because I
yeah,
think it attacks you so
yeah,
much. Like, as you say, it's not really about like that, and it's about the initial scope that you set. Like, you can set an initial scope and say, yeah, I want it done by next year or whatever, and then like you don't know what pops up between those times. Like you could have, I don't know, like as you say, you could be offered a job and then suddenly that takes up like half your current time. So then you're like, let's say, I don't know, this is like a month before you're hoping to get it done, and then you're like, oh my god, can't do it, and then that's where people like
yeah,
start crumbling. And I think people
yeah.
just aren't right at the start, at least, of game dev, you're not very lenient with yourself, and you sort of just like have a go at yourself, and you're, people don't really say it, but I think
Yeah,
people do get angry at themselves for it, because like even if you don't physically look angry or get angry, you still inside you're like, God
yeah,
damn it, it's a
yeah,
disappointed feeling, and I think it is crucial to learn from them. Well, it's as with everything, it's crucial to learn from the mistakes of it, like, and realize, it's very improbable that you're gonna release a game like in a year's time. Like, really,
yeah.
like if you really think about it,
Unless
but
it's like the scope is really small,
yeah,
then it's just not gonna happen.
yeah, it's just not, because so much can happen in a year. Like right when we started with our game, like, we were planning on getting it done in June, and then we were like, and then someone left the team in January or so, and then that completely like slowed down development, and we've had to push it back. But like, it's just something you have to learn to deal with, and you do get better at it though, which thank God. But yeah, I don't know. It's quite an enjoyable part of game
Yeah, I
development
think
though.
another weakness I have. I think another weakness I have is that I tend to do my. I've kind of picked up what I like to call the game jam workflow. In that, when I'm working on something, I do. I don't do like my little bit, just constantly out. I tend to do like a weekend. I would spend a whole weekend just working on this one thing, and then not do anything on it for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's not the best. It's kind of working for now because, well, I'm not currently at a job, so I have like all the time in the world that's not spent on already job searching to then spend on like fantasies and other things.
Yeah.
But I do think, obviously, this job starting, I will need to sort of get used to doing little bits on the evenings and the weekends to really keep it going.
Well, you could pull a Rob Lang and just like uh early in the morning, very very early in the morning, you'll work for 2 hours.
I won't be able to do that. I struggle to get up in the morning. I spend at least half an hour on my phone before I'm able to then get out of bed.
Yeah, same. And another question from Rob, of course. What source control do you use? Because you do use source control, don't you? With capital letters.
Yes, I use source control. I have been using it more often. I barely used it at all. When it came to working on sort of the big projects like Project Dungeon and projects where I work with other people, I tend to use Unity Collab. Now I've got an external hard drive that I tend to back up monthly like fantasies onto, and I also do the same with GitHub. And I use Unity Collab. I think I've used it once for fantasies. I need to really do another push on that. But
Yeah.
source control, I think a lot of people don't realize how important it is, and but also at the same time, it's one of those things that I feel like won't always happen to you, but when they do, if you're not prepared for it, then you're screwed.
Yeah, yeah. It's sort of like the risk assessment type of thing. Like, you've got to make sure you really think of anything possibly that could go wrong ever. Like, it's quite like interesting because you don't actually, like, right when you start a game, you're like, oh, this would be fine, this would be perfect, because again, it's the whole motivation boost, and you're like, oh yeah, it's great, and like,
Yeah,
it is really really like tough to actually get something done. Like, getting even if it's just a game jam, like getting a game jam done already in itself, that's like fantastic. A month-long game or whatever you do.
yeah,
And yeah, it is quite important to make sure you're ready for something to go bad, like prepare for the worst sort of thing, because you never know. Like, I've constantly got my hard drive like ready, and I always back up like my files because I'm not losing another project ever. Like, even if it's on GitHub, like, you could still another method is always really important, because don't
yeah.
solely rely on one service, because if that service shut down in like for no reason, then what would you do? Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really used source control in the past. The only time it really became useful was with Fantasy, where I had to sort of back up everything onto because my laptop died, pretty much killed itself, and I had to then wait. I had to use my old laptop and then my new computer now, and having this external hard drive really helps. And then there was a time recently where the library folder in my Unity project went missing. I deleted it because I didn't think I needed it, but I didn't know that if you delete the library file, you then in the project you lose all the prefab locations and like the scripts on each object, and you have to then go back through them and add them all. But luckily, I had the source control thing, which then didn't take long at all.
Yeah, yeah,
which saved me.
Yeah, I've done that before by accident, and that's possibly the worst thing, because then you're like,
yeah,
oh no, I don't remember where I assigned these objects. Yeah, well, thank God you had.
Yeah, no, I think I did it because I was doing a technical test at the time where I had to do something in Unity, and they were like, "Yeah, send it over, but don't include the library folder or the compiled object files." I was like, "Well," I realized then after I'd done it, when I then was like, "Oh, I could just do it that with Fantasy." Don't do that. Don't delete the library folder, and don't even delete the object files, because when it comes to like scripts, you're going to lose all the settings you have for that script and that sprite and whatever in there, which I didn't realize.
Yeah, it is a bit of a weird, like, nobody really talks about it. That's the thing. Like, nobody warns you not to delete like the library file. I mean, I guess it's sort of something you sort of figure out that you're like, oh yeah, probably, but like you still do it anyway. Because a common fix for like if your Unity keeps crashing, it's like people are always like, oh, delete your library folder, it will go great. And then you do it and it doesn't work.
I think people think of source control as the thing to use when you're working on something with someone else or with a group of people, because then it's actually properly like it's being used in the forefront. Like it's definitely important then. Yeah. While when you're doing something solo, it's more of a fail safe than anything.
Yeah.
But you do need that fail safe.
Yeah, you do. Casual Dutchman asks, if you had infinite money, would you just create your passion project alone with some additional people, or would you create a huge group/studio to create that game?
I'll create it with a few people, I reckon. My sort of goal is to run a studio with a handful of people.
Yes.
I don't want to go above 50. That would be too much for me to manage. unless I just join someone else's indie company, then I don't mind. But I want to have a team that works on games that they're very passionate about, and I want a team that knows everyone else in the team.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be sort of like a family, a game dev family, rather than a game dev company.
Yeah.
Because then I feel like people can be like more strict on each other if it's needed. But it's also just a lot more welcoming and friendly, and just really makes you enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to talk to the others about if you find any issues or something, because like right at the start, because I remember this back when I was first starting with my team, like, you know, I found it quite awkward to come to and be like, guys, I can't do this system, you know. Like now, like I can just come straight forward and I'm like, yo guys, this is too tough for me, can I have some help and stuff? And it is a really nice experience, like having someone there, like to just sort of be sort of a shoulder to lean on at times. Like I feel like developers as a whole, like they're quite independent people, so like, you know, when it comes to like making things, like we tend to, like if we're set like to make a system or something, like we'd really want to make sure we make that system on our own, sort of thing. Like even if you don't really say it subliminally, you're like, I want to make this happen. But like really, in the grand scheme of things, chances of you actually making, I don't know, like some really diverse system that you haven't worked on at all before is very minimal. And you know, you can get a lot of insight from your other friends and stuff. So I don't know. I think that's key.
I think also, I think people try to avoid asking for help. I don't know if it's a pride thing or they just want to say that they've done something themselves, but sometimes it just can't be done. And it's not that you're not good enough, it's just that sometimes like the help you get, people think in different ways. So it could just be that you've been thinking this way and this other person just thinks a different way to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And no one really, I don't think anyone really judges on if you can do something or not.
They don't. I think like the only people that would really judge, I would think, would be like executives, like looking down and like assessing you. But like that's more of a judgment to know if you're actually able to like work efficiently. Like that's not really a judgment in terms of like social standpoint. So you know, it's less of a.
I'm not sure how I feel about executives in the game development industry.
Yeah, no, I don't like.
I feel like they have
too
much
idea,
power.
But you know, you just got this guy like with a huge hood on, and he's like, "Are you programming that system I set you?"
Yeah. I've been reading. I read a year ago this book called Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, which goes through the sort of development process of many games. Like, yeah, it's a good book, and I just realized how much pressure they get from executives.
Oh yeah.
I think I was reading on Star Wars 1313. I think the Star Wars game that didn't come out and was meant to be about Boba Fett. I may be getting that wrong. I know it was by like they had to have Boba Fett in there because they had released this demo of these sort of two people, completely unrelated, but like in the Star Wars universe. And the executive stepped in and was like, "Yeah, we want Boba Fett there. Put Boba Fett there." So they had to sort of get rid of all the work they've done on these two people and this whole story and background and everything, and just insert Boba Fett, which is probably why it didn't work, why it didn't get released.
Well, I think executives that from another industry, like jumping in, something
that don't really understand how game development works.
That's something that I'm less like would be less happy about. Like I'm imagining you're working for EA because you know they're the ones that do the Star Wars stuff. And, like they're like you got Disney like saying, "Hey, so you know how you did a story on Obi-Wan Kenobi? Yeah, we wanna change that and do it on Darth Maul." You're like, what? Yeah, that's something that I think would be.
Like, oh, you can do that, right? You make games, you can do that. We give you about 6 months. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, it's been 5 months into development. You're about done with a storyline. The narration for all the story is done, but we're gonna just change it all. Yeah, that's something that worries me about the industry, like from a AAA standpoint, like working for a AAA company. That's something that's like
scary. There's a lot of stuff that gets scrapped.
Yeah, like I dread to think like about the layoffs that they don't talk about, because like there are layoffs that everyone talks about, like mass layoffs.
Yeah, there are lots of layoffs.
But it's like, you know, they only really talk about the big layoffs. They don't talk about like the little ones. Like it's like, you know, if someone like talks out of turn about it and is like, "Hey, this is ridiculous" or something, then you know they'll let you be gone. And it's like that's something that's quite scary about the AAA industry, I think. But again, I suppose I don't really know, so I can't really give my 2 cents. But from what I've heard, it's
I mean, we've sort of experienced our own little corner of the game dev industry.
Yeah,
and we haven't actually been at any companies yet.
Yeah,
maybe I'll give some feedback to you in like a year when I've got something.
Yeah. And Reese Joffrey asks, "What are your best strategies for marketing as an indie?"
I feel like I still need to work on my marketing.
Yeah, I was about to say Ollie's just gonna walk away.
Yeah, thanks. I do watch like quite a lot of game development conferences, talks on this sort of stuff, and just general videos. And something I can pass on is try and make your game look nice quickly. And as in, if you're starting to work on a game, it's best to make something that looks nice so you can sort of get the word out as soon as
And
possible.
flex, yeah.
Yeah, flex basically. And I need to really follow that advice because I have been making. I do think my game looks quite nice so
I
far,
think
but
from an aesthetic point, it works really nicely. It's quite eye catching that it's like cardboard,
thank
but
you.
like
Yeah, but
yeah,
I feel like I need to sort of lean into
something in
that
the
more.
background
I
as
need to
well.
actually, yeah, I need to actually choose a name for the game. Like
Yeah,
currently, I'm calling it Fantasies, but I'm not sure if I like it. I think it's unlikely it'll be the final name because I just don't think it matches the sort of the game I have in mind.
yeah,
So I need to think of the name for the game that I can then make a logo for and be like, yes, this is my game.
yeah. And I think
And
leading
yeah,
on from that, when you're putting out screenshots, this is something that we haven't been doing for our team, which we probably should have done. But one thing that's a really good idea is when posting screenshots onto your Twitter or whatever. It's a good idea to have a little watermark with the game's name in it. Like even if you have like
mm,
um, and also have a call to action so people know where to get the game or where to follow you. Like don't tweet out like
yeah,
I don't know, don't tweet out a series of screenshots. Although I would actually argue against doing a series of screenshots and doing just one that looks really good. But then
yeah,
make sure people know exactly where to go. And like if they are copying and pasting this image like off to other people and they don't give any context of like the link, like then they're gonna be like, oh, what's this from? And then they have to get this other person to
yeah.
get the link and stuff. And if it just has millions of minions or whatever the name of the game is in the corner, I think then also keeps up with your branding and like cohesion, which is super vital. Like
I never actually thought of that.
yeah, well,
I'm gonna use that now. Thanks.
well, no, it's something that I've been learning because we took on a community manager to our team, and prior to that, I was sort of studying community management on my own and like doing my research on it as much as I could. And with teaching him on how you do it and stuff, like I've learned a lot of things that do well and don't do well. Like one of the biggest things is like when making screenshots, like in terms of like keeping your subject like right in the center is super important. Like it's like photography. Like you've got to think of it like it's actually a photograph, and like obviously people like yellows and reds and bright colors because that catches the eye, and if you've been on the YouTube platform, you know that anyway. And it's really important that you have like in our screenshots, we did posted a screenshot yesterday or Monday, I think it was, I can't remember. And in the center of the picture is the enemy we're talking about with like a yellow projectile shooting out from him, and that like I think it got like 30 something likes in like less than a day. And
was that the overpowered boss or no? It was just an enemy. I think it.
Yeah, it's just a normal
I think
enemy.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and we've seen a 100 follower growth in the space of like less than a month, which is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I need to do my advertising on Twitter. I think what a lot of people don't realize is a sort of advice for anyone making a game, because I see during lockdown a lot of people started popping up with their indie game devlogs and that, and I think what people need to realize is that just doing devlogs on YouTube isn't going to get your game to sell.
Yeah.
You need to advertise at least in one other way, like Twitter. You need to really advertise many different ways. Like I think you talked to me about it some time ago, and like like mailing lists, I think it was. Yeah, just build up that and just get the word around, because one or two YouTube videos is not going to cut it.
No,
people are going to see that, be like, "Oh, that's cool," and most of them will walk away. Most of them won't like follow you back, or even like the video. They'll just be like, "Oh, that looks cool. I'm gonna go do something else now."
Yeah,
and they're not going to remember your game. So you need to sort of just hammer into their head, like, "Follow my game, wish list it, buy it, whatever."
We have
really just get on their nerves.
We have not we, but there's a rule of thumb where if someone sees something 3 times, like a logo, that's when they start recognizing it when they next see it, and like
Yeah.
4 or 5 times that they've seen it, they'll start remembering it, and that's like crucial. And I think it's back when I was doing devlogs, obviously I knew it was growing my YouTube, and but then when I came to releasing my game, I realized my YouTube had a 10% influence, not even a 10% influence on the Steam page itself. Like, because people, as bad as it sounds, people don't really care. Like, they're only there for the entertainment. And that's
they're
why.
there for the YouTube video, they're not necessarily there for the game.
Yes, exactly. And it's quite eye-opening, because you do really learn a lot about what people really care about and stuff. And I think that's also why I stopped doing devlogs a little bit, was because I was like, well, this isn't really doing anything for me in terms of helping my product. It's more helping my YouTube channel, which isn't really the sort of thing that's not why I started my YouTube channel. I started my YouTube channel as a form of like marketing, and obviously didn't turn out, so it doesn't really make sense to keep on doing devlogs for me. I'm only doing my new series because I enjoyed them, so that's why I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And like that's why this podcast, I've kept on doing it, because it's really good for networking. Like it's like just telling people, hey, I have a podcast. Like people are like, wow, it is quite interesting. I spoke to there was someone, he's got like, I don't know, he's at like 90 episodes of his podcast, and he was talking to me, and he was he was saying it's ridiculous how long he's been doing it for, and he's just like, it's it's been the only thing that he's done, and I think he's got like 4,000 followers on Twitter or something. So it's a real juggling act. It's yeah.
With game development, it's not just game development. You have to juggle all these different things.
Yeah, and
it's a lot more nuanced.
Yeah, I wasn't very good at keeping consistent with the marketing for our game as well, which was my problem.
Yeah, I'm not good at that either. I need to do more Twitter stuff.
But I was talking, well, obviously now we have our community manager, and he's sort of responsible for that. And we came up with like literally like a plan, and we came up with every single day's content for like, I think it lasts us until the end of the year. So, literally we should be fine. But yeah, we've like planned out all the good hashtags and stuff, and yeah, it's crucial.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's exactly as casual Dutchman just said there. SEO is king, and yeah, it's important. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's something that you just sort of learn over time anyway, I think, because you start realizing what works and what really doesn't. Like It sort of depends on you as a person as well. Like, you got to think about, let's say you are a devlog channel. Like, why are you doing the devlogs? Are you doing it because you enjoy them? Are you doing it because you thought it would help you market yourself? Or are you doing it because you don't know why? And like having that key like idea in your mind is really crucial to know if you should actually continue. Because like, I'm not trying to like what's the word, like dismay people from wanting to, who are doing devlogs. Like, of course, I'm not going to say stop doing devlogs now, because if it's something you're enjoying and you're doing it for marketing, like just think about another way of doing the marketing rather than just one, because devlogs aren't for marketing, and they probably I think they probably were right at the start, but like now, because there's so many.
Now it's so saturated.
Yeah, and I made a video essay that's sadly not on the channel now. I will be re-uploading it, about like, the truth about devlogs, and like the truth that people don't really think about. Like they sort of just ignore it, because when you're working on devlogs, like I'm not sure if you're the same, but like when people say to you, or give you advice and say it's not for marketing, chances are you're not going to pay attention. It's not going to make you do anything different. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I noticed there's with the fantasy videos, there are so many people commenting all these ideas at the bottom and suggestions, and most of them are like they're good suggestions, and like a lot of them are actually things I planned on doing anyway, and but then you do get some where it's like add this thing, if you don't then it's not going to be a good game,
Yeah.
or add this really convoluted thing. And I feel like when you get that situation, you have to realize that it's your game. Like, yes, you are sharing it to a bunch of people um, to try and include them on sort of the experience of it, but also you know what's going to work, and you can't really let other people just decide what your game's going to be. You have to make that decision yourself.
Yeah, it's your game.
And I see it there are a lot of people doing devlogs, and I feel like a good majority of them are doing it one for accountability to sort of keep themselves on track with like making their game, but also I feel like a lot of them sort of just want in on the game development action, sort of want the sort of feedback and experience that a lot of other people are getting, because the game development industry on YouTube is really friendly. It's like really welcoming as well. But I feel like with those devlogs, they either sort of fade out into nothing, or they just stop abruptly because people realize that it's actually too much to make a game. And that's why you see a lot of people doing these challenge videos where it's like, oh, I made a game in a week, or I made a game in 3 days, or I made a Minecraft clone, which seems to be popping off a bit. And these challenge videos seem to hit off because with devlogs, you also need a lot of audience interaction. And with devlogs, if you have a lot of videos, then people aren't going to watch all of them. People aren't going to like. It's a lot harder to retain an audience over a long series of making this one game than it is to like make loads of challenge videos, because then they don't need to watch them all in order. They could just watch any one's way they want. And I think people don't really realize that as much as they probably need to.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think really that sort of sums up all of the topics we had for the video. I think that might have been one. I don't know, but yeah, Ollie, it's been
them all.
It's been great having you on. We've been,
it's been great being on. It's been some time for me to get on here,
but it's good. It's good.
Some issues that were my own, but yeah, I'm very very happy to be on here. I'd love to be on here again.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get you on here again in the future, because
probably once you've had all those 20 other people on again.
yeah, we'll go through everyone else, and then you'll be
I'll see you in about 2 years.
Yeah, see ya. But yeah, thanks again. And one very important question from the chat is: are you Milk Gang?
I don't really. I have milk in my cereal. Does that count?
Yeah, sure. We'll go for that. There you go.
Then I'm Milk Gang. Otherwise, I'm Water Gang.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ollie. And everyone,
thank you for having me.
Check out his links in the description, and
And check out Matt.
Yeah. Woo. All right. See you later.